Hi, everyone. Anna Brandt here. And today we're recording a new episode of my podcast. For those of you watching on YouTube, you're actually able to watch a video of this recording, something a little bit different that we are going to start doing. So to help those who listen to our podcast on YouTube, if you're listening on iTunes or anywhere else, you're just hearing my voice. I'm going to be talking about a lot of the initiatives and things that I'm currently working on. And one of the things that I encourage all artists and creatives to do, which is expand your vision, expand your reach, and always think about things that you can do in the future and not just today.
You are listening to the Anna Brandt podcast for the year 2022. Anna Brandt has been a professional photographer for over 23 years and has taught worldwide in over 34 countries and continues to educate in person and online. My name is Ava Brandt, and I am happy to welcome you to the 4th season of my mom's podcast channel. We hope you subscribe and stick around.
Okay, so I have a special guest with me today. Her name is Grethel. I'll have you say your full name because I don't want to say it incorrectly.
Oh my God, my full name?
Oh, do you have sure, let's hear it.
My full name is Teida Gretel Maciel Villate Morales.
Wow. Wow.
I'm the only girl in the family, so my dad went for it.
He went for it. And you were born and raised in?
Guatemala.
Wow. And so how many names are that? Say that again.
Teida Gretel Maciel. My last name is Villate Morales.
Wow. And have you ever had to write that full name out?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, for everything.
Really? So your passport has all of this?
All of them.
Wow.
So I told my dad the other day that I called him, like, I'm just keeping one. like I'm sorry, but I'm just keeping one. It's a lot of trouble too.
Yeah.
I got my social and it's missing one. So I have to go fix it. And
missing one of the names?
Yes.
There's probably not enough room on the Social Security card.
So they didn't care. They just didn't put it there. So, but for some things, I have my full name and not for my social. So I have to fix it. And
what did he say?
He was like, do whatever you want.
Aww.
But the funny thing was my brother just have a baby girl and they were just planning to have just one name because 2 of my siblings have 2 names and the other one and me have 3. So they were like, no, just one name.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I told him that I'm going to just pick one,
mm-hmm.
he was like, you should just give her another name so she can pick to take one if she doesn't like it. Because your sister is doing that. So.
Oh my goodness. So is she going to have like 5 names?
No, she has 2 now.
She has 2.
So she can pick which one she likes.
Wow. So you're the only girl in the family?
Yeah.
Youngest, middle, oldest, where are you?
The third one.
The third one. 3 out of?
4.
3 out of 4. Okay. So wow. And are you the only one in the United States?
Yes.
Okay. And how long have you been in the U.S.?
Almost 5 years.
5 years. Okay. And so you're a professional newborn photographer, but you started there.
Yeah.
So what made you start newborn photography over there? And what kind of education or training was over there, or did you just start?
Well, I just was studying at the university there, graphic design and marketing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I really didn't like it. And I had like one class, the photo,
mm-hmm.
and I was like, well, I like it. And my dad used to have cameras. He has no idea, but he loves it. And probably that's the only reason that we have photos, because he just and he loved to clean his lens like that, like with everything. So he has no idea, but he
knows how to clean a lens.
No, he just got it because it was,
Yeah.
So when I told him that I wanted to do it, he was like, yeah, I'm going to get you camera and stuff. So I know that we overpaid for that camera. He did, not me. And because I started like just studying that
mm-hmm.
class in the university.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really think that I had a future like graphic design.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'm just going to start doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But just that class basically,
mm-hmm.
and YouTube.
Yes.
And trying to reach whatever. So I started like doing like some random photos.
Sure.
And one of my siblings told me like, well, you're really good with kids, that I'm really good with babies and
Yes.
kids. So I just try it.
Mhm.
But in Guatemala, you have no education about it. And
Right.
by then I was like 20, I'm 32, almost 32 now.
Mhm.
And I was maybe like 19 or 20.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I started really young. So it was, but by then. And there's not really newborn photographer by that time in there.
Sure.
That's how I started watching your videos and everything. So I follow you since
Wow.
there. And I start like having my small studio,
Mhm.
and I really have no idea what I was doing.
Sure. Like
That's
most
for
of us.
sure. I see my photos now and I'm like, I don't know how I learned to do stuff.
Mhm.
And I'm really good too with all the manual stuff. So I
Mhm.
used to do my own boxes and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And
Mhm.
so I start doing that. And I moved to a different studio, like a really big one.
Mhm.
And I was doing that. And well, sometimes life happens and
Yes.
you have to just change everything.
Mhm.
I have to sold basically everything. So I moved here.
Mhm.
And but like education wise and everything, I didn't never took any class.
Mhm.
I was just YouTube. And I kept taking photos and everything. When I moved here, I wasn't allowed to work.
Mhm.
So I was just babysitting
Yeah.
my friend's kid.
Mhm.
And then when I got my employment authorization and all that, my friend used to work at the coffee shop.
Mhm.
And she told me like, do you want me to work there or something like that? And I was like, just let me try to find a job
Mhm.
doing what I know how to do.
Mhm.
And I started working as an event photographer and like fans photographer for the Dodgers.
Oh.
And I worked for them until the pandemic.
Wow.
I was in Arizona, and when everything shut
When
down,
everything shut down.
and I was like, okay, we just have
And
to
how
go
did you
back.
get that job?
I just applied.
Just apply. They were
Yeah.
just, but how did you find that job?
Google.
Just Google. And
Yeah.
they were hiring.
Yeah, I was just trying to find
Yeah.
a job.
So
you
they were
know, like-
hiring for an event photographer for the Dodgers.
yeah, so I started doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And when with the pandemic and COVID and everything, just stopped. And well, I was unemployed for a couple months. I started working in a restaurant
Mm-hmm.
as a hostess. That was so cool. I never did that in my life. But and probably a lot of people and even my parents and everything were like, are you sure that you like it?
Mhm.
Probably they felt bad for me, I think.
Mhm.
But I can tell you that I really enjoy it.
How fun. I was a waitress and a
Like,
hostess, and I liked it.
I
yeah.
really enjoy it. The
Mhm.
people was so cool.
Mhm.
They just like called me like 2 times, like, do you want to come
to
back?
start working?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was fun. Then I found a job doing newborns.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there almost 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And in-home sessions.
Mhm.
And here I am now.
Here you are. Did you ever think you'd be sitting here doing a podcast with me?
Never. I actually told my dad yesterday because I was telling him some
Uh-huh.
things. And I told him, like, I never thought that I actually would be able to first, like, taking classes or anything with you, you
Mhm.
know, because the 20-old me
Mm-hmm.
probably wouldn't imagine that I would be in my 30s working
Mm-hmm.
and doing this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually proud of of all the
You
things.
should be.
I know that it's not being easy at all.
Mm-hmm.
And even with the English, you know,
Sure.
because when I moved here, I
You didn't know any
know
English.
anything.
Wow.
I took
That's pretty
classes when
good.
I was like 12 years
Sure.
old. I never practiced.
Sure.
So I was like, oh,
Well, you speak very well.
thank you.
Very well. I'm always amazed when people come to our country and pick up English because I still can't like speak Spanish the way that people would like me to speak. Well, you know, I love that. so many things that you've said is one thing that it hasn't been an easy road, because people always look at other people's lives and they think everything is easy. And I don't think anybody has an easy life. I mean, I feel like if they do, the pandemic wiped that out anyway. Anyone who had an easy life and then the pandemic happened and all that changed for everybody in every different course of the world. And I love that you said you enjoyed being a hostess because, I was a waitress several different times. I was a waitress in a diner. I was a waitress in a hotel, also was a hostess. I was a cocktail waitress at night. Where my youngest client was like 65. It was one of those evening clubs where men from like 60 to 85 was like their demographic, and they'd come down and I was a cocktail waitress and I had this cute little short dress on. It was so funny back in the day. And I always joke that I can see how many plates I can put on my arm if I'm like serving, which is really funny because I'm the clumsiest person on planet Earth. How I was ever a waitress. Let's just say I had a lot of spills. But I actually made really good money. I was actually a waitress at IHOP in Newark, New Jersey, but I quit when the cockroaches came out of the coffee mugs. I couldn't handle it. I made the most money at that IHOP in Newark, New Jersey. The cash tips were outrageous. And I made a lot of money. And I think it's actually really good lessons for customer service, hustling. You make money based on how you speak to people, how you talk to people, how you serve people. Photography, I say all the time, is a service business. Yeah. And a lot of people don't get that we're a service business. I feel like there's a lot of arrogance in the photography community that doesn't need to be there because to me, we're a service business. Now, you can get a little arrogant, maybe if you feel like you know a lot about in your craft and maybe somebody is challenging you. But I try not to let the ego get in the way. And I try to look at it from the client is hiring me. And I try, there's always people that will test your patience, right? I try really hard to work in a way that it's a service business because that's how my mom worked. And I feel like whenever you're working with the public, it's a service business, right? And you're challenged in customer service and patience, in stamina, sometimes long days, long hours, right? And so I love those things that you said. And I love that you just went and picked up and started shooting things. Because to me, there's like a love for photography. And then there's a love for a specific subject, right? And they're two different things. I loved babies and kids as well. Did I ever think I was going to be a newborn photographer? No. Did I ever think I was going to be a professional photographer? No. I didn't go pro till I was 29. I was an amateur photographer from 19 to 29. Started taking pictures when I was in private boarding school at 16, just to take photos, selfies and photos and all of that. Because I'm in a dorm house with girls, and what else do? Is you put makeup on and take photos. And so when I look back to my time in my 20s, never in a million years did I think I was going to become a professional photographer. So I get what you're saying. Even just sitting here with me, you with me, I didn't think I'd even ever have a podcast that anyone would even listen to. Even some days I still think like, is anyone listening? And then when I'll think that, I'll get like a random email like, oh, I listened to your podcast. And it's just someone out there going, yeah, I listened. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool because we're sitting here talking. It feels very lonely, right? It feels like no one's listening but us. Yeah. And I try to explain that to people that when I'm recording, it's just Alex and I. So it's a very lonely experience. And there's a lot of things that I do, even when I'm just creating content and it's just me and the computer. And people don't think, and just even when you're editing photos, right? Doesn't it seem like it's very lonely at night by yourself at like 2 a.m.? Yeah. And there are a lot of things that photographers or artists or creatives do where it's just us and our tools. And we think nobody's watching, nobody's listening, nobody's seeing our work. A lot of photographers say they feel invisible. I think a lot of creatives will feel that way. And so when someone acknowledges your work or acknowledges you or acknowledges what you're doing, you're like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. Someone saw it, right?
Yes.
I think everybody of every age can identify with that. And here you are. So a lot of people are like, well, here she is. What is she doing? She doesn't have that much experience. What is she doing? And, there are very few people that I work well with, mainly because I like working alone. I like doing my thing. I like working alone. I don't, it's just easier for me to do that. Right.
Yeah. I'm kind of like that too.
Yeah, exactly. And so my challenge is 23 years in the business now, going into 24, is I can't do everything myself. Right.
Yeah.
And there's so many things I want to do, so many places I still want to go to. And right before the pandemic, I did my last technical and newborn in-home shoot with a client who had booked it way earlier, because she had known that I was saying I'm not doing any more home shoots, mainly because I just don't have time. For Alex and I, and to bring a team and an assistant, it's 7 hours to do a newborn, where sometimes people will fly me somewhere, or we have to drive to LA, and it's just hours upon hours. The drive, the setting up, the taking down, it's a lot of time. And even if you do a perfect 2-hour newborn session, you still have to set up, you still have to take down. So newborn photography is not easy, whether you do natural light or studio light. Anyone that has a newborn photographer come in the home, I don't think it should be cheap, because it's to me, it should be at a premium, because someone's coming to your home.
Yes.
Like if I'm bringing someone to my home to do nails or hair, I'm going to pay more than going to a salon, correct?
Yes.
But a lot of people will look at it opposite and go, well, if she doesn't have a studio, it should cost nothing, and she should come to my home and photograph my newborn.
Yeah.
I think that mentality is completely wrong, because there's no other industry where having a home convenience would be less expensive.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And, even just recently, I was struggling to find time to get to the nail salon, and my daughters and I, we go all the time together. And my client was like, oh, I can give you a really good referral of someone that'll go to your home, just like masseuse. And I'm like, well, I'm probably going to pay double, and I have to pay for my 2 daughters and I. So it's already a lot of money. So I was like, oh, I'll find time to go to the salon because I'm sure it's a lot of money to bring someone in my home to do nails. They've got to bring their table and their dips and their acrylic and whatever they're doing. Just like
the timing too.
The timing. They've got to drive. They've got to pack up their stuff. They have to unpack. They have to set it up. You want it to be clean. They're going to do your nails. You don't want them to just be yanking clippers out of their bag. It's the same with newborn photography. We're dealing with the tiniest, newest human beings on the planet. I don't think you want your newborn photographer tripping over herself and yanking used wraps out of her bag. You want everything clean and packed well, and you want her to arrive early, check out the light, set up the space, create a comfortable environment for that baby. So now you can now do the work you're supposed to do. And now you have to clean up, pack up, go home, edit.
Wash everything.
Wash everything. So for those of you who have a newborn photographer coming in your home, I beg you to think of it as not something that should be paid less than, as not something that should be cheap. Because to me, convenience costs, right? So I, for years, have been trying to bring in associate photographers to really just help me out, because last year at this time, I actually had to turn newborn babies away last December because people were calling me with 2 and 3 week babies, and I was already booked. And last December was the first month in my entire career that I had to say no to people. Last year was also the first time in my entire career I had to turn down existing clients to do their in-home newborn sessions that were willing to pay, and I just did not have the time to do it. And so, for years I've been trying to do this. And a couple of weeks ago, I said to my daughter, I said, I think it's time that I do this. And the few people that I've talked to, I don't even have to finish my sentence. I mean, you saw it with my hairdresser yesterday, hairdresser with our makeup. Heather, who does our makeup, was doing a client's hair and makeup yesterday. And when I introduced you, she immediately was like, you're doing it. Like, I don't even think I finished the sentence.
No.
She was like, oh my gosh, you're finally doing what I've been wanting you to do for the past 10 years, which is expand my reach. Work on the vision that I have for newborn photography into the future and expand it to other photographers. And a lot of photographers are coming to me saying, how much experience do I have to come and work for you? Do I have to have 10 years experience? It's like, well, my job is to train you to get you to a comfortable point so that you can work under my name. You've already done 5 trainings with me in how many months? 6 months? 9 months?
Probably, yes.
Like the past 9 months? You've done 5 trainings, which is crazy. Although not unusual. I have had other photographers. There's another photographer that I'm thinking about that she did 6 trainings within a year with me. When I met her, she was doing quinceañeras and she wanted to switch. And she met me at the first workshop and she just was like, boom, 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 boom. And that's kind of like a lot of your thought too. It's like you start something and then you realize, oh, wait, newborns. And then you just go.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about you is there's so many people who hesitate. And they think about it and they practice and, I'll mark it when I get good enough. Which if anyone's listened to me, you know that that's not what marketing is. Yeah. It's not about how good you are. You just do it.
You know, that's probably something that I always be this way. That I have something in my mind and I go for it. And even my friend, my best friend, Swanee, I met her. We've been friends for a long time. And she always tells me that, like, sometimes you're like, say something and you just go for it. And sometimes I don't really, well, most of the times I have no idea how I'm going to do the things, how I'm going to be able, you know. But I'm just like, well, yeah, I'm in or out, you know. So just go for it.
Just go for it.
You have to keep learning and perfecting everything.
Yes.
You know, I don't really like to do just the standard and that's it. No, I really want to grow.
Yeah. And I think with what's so great about newborn photography is it's ever evolving.
Yeah.
I get bored of what I did yesterday, right? I'm like, I did that. What can I do next?
Or sometimes it doesn't look the same or as cute as the other baby, you know, you have to switch something.
We experienced that yesterday when my client came in. I just was like, no. Everything I was pulling out. I was just like, it's going to be one of those days. Because newborns will come in and the client will pick something and I'll go, it doesn't look right on their baby.
Yeah.
And I'll look at this set and go, I like nothing. And Alex will usually roll his eyes because that means it's going to be a long session because she's like, here we go. Anna's going to get bored or get creative. And what a lot of people don't understand is I don't like much of my own work. So the few that I post on Instagram, and I try to explain to people that if you look in a week of my postings on Instagram, it's like 4 to 5 images. I don't always post a ton. I probably have a ton of real footage and video footage that I've never posted because I just don't love it.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot for me to post something. If I post it, that means I've really loved it. And not to say that I don't want clients to go, well, did she not love our images? She hasn't posted our baby. A lot of it is I just don't have time.
Yeah. And
so I like something in every session, but I can't post every session because I would never get anything done. If sometimes I'm shooting 8-10 hours a day and I don't even have the time. But yeah, I think that what I love about bringing you on is that I want you to grow. I want you to grow and take the ideas, the lighting, the tools that I'm going to teach you and grow with, and then make it your own. And what I'm looking for somebody to work with me and work with newborns under my name is consistency in lighting, good, clean work, modern work that is indicative of today and not 10 years ago. You know, I don't even watch old movies because I don't like anything old. People are always like, what music do you listen to? I'm like, whatever's on top 40. Like, if it's like super old, I won't listen to it. Every once in a while, an older song will come up. The Spanish music is a little bit different because there's certain Spanish songs that I hear only when I go to Puerto Rico and I love them. But there's just so much I won't go back to old things, with the exception of there's like maybe 10 movies that I'll watch 100 times because I love those movies. But I don't like going back. I like going forward, and I like inventing, being innovative and trying new things. And who knows what the newborns will look like 5 years from now, right? Everything changes and everything is different. And so what I'm trying to do is build a team. I'm starting in the West and then going to the East of associate newborn photographers that will be able to photograph in the home under my name. So if I get a call for somebody in Los Angeles and I'm not able to go there, then I can call Grethel and say, hey, Grethel, I have a client in LA. She needs a new home newborn session. And you can go out and the client should be very comfortable with your expertise and your style and your consistency in your work. And so that's where we're going. And so we're training a bunch of photographers to do that. We already have a nice little group in California, and now I'm working on the New York team. I am looking to get a studio in New York, born and raised in New York, and I travel there. Next year, I'll be in New York almost every single month. So I'm looking to get a studio in New York that I can travel to and shoot to and build a team of photographers there as well. And, you know, I get requests all over the world, not just in the US, but in other countries that I travel to, looking for referrals or associate photographers saying, can you send me someone that has a similar style, similar lighting. And I think I think my style is very simple. I think it's, you know, I'm not too proppy or too ornate. I don't do 5,000 different things. Clean. Yeah, it's clean work. And I think that when you're choosing a newborn photographer, you should choose one that goes with your style. And the newborn photographers that are listening out there, you should make sure you have a body of work that is consistent. So when someone's hiring you, they know what to get, right? So in talking with kind of visions and future and expanding your reach, where do you, and I hate this question, I'm going to ask it anyway. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years? I mean, I remember when I was 25 and I was dating my next door neighbor. He's now married with 3 kids, but like it was a friend's thing. Like if you opened my door and walked 3 feet, his door was there. So kind of like the Friends apartment complex, I lived in an apartment complex like that. And I remember when I moved in, there was a cute boy next door and my friend spotted him. She's like, there's a cute boy next door. And I was very single at the time. And I was like, I don't know, I'm interested. And she's like, well, he has a daughter. And I'm 25 at the time. I'm like, I'm not going to date anyone that has a daughter. So I was immediately turned off. Like however cute he is, I'm not going to date him because he has a daughter, right? Well, we kept bumping into him and we needed to borrow his tools. And so my friend is like, I'm going to go borrow the tools because we have to put my apartment together. And we found out the daughter was a sister. He had an 8-year-old sister. His mom had what they called at the time a change of life baby, which I laugh at that term now because that's like all my clients. But she like got pregnant at like 45 or something, which, you know, a while ago was a big deal.
Yeah.
Now no one cares, right? You can have a baby at 45 or 50. But then it was like, wow, he was 25 with an 8-year-old sister, right? Same marriage, which now it's like the 3rd marriage, right?
Yeah.
So make a long story short, we dated and he has such a big part of my career because I remember like one of the first times, so I was over at his apartment and you know what the first thing I saw in his apartment was? Take a guess. What are we talking about? There's a camera. A brand new camera still in the box. And I was like, where did you get this camera? And he's like, it was a graduation gift. And I was like, I need this camera. He had never touched it. And so the worst part about breaking up with him was I remember the knock on the door. And he was like, I need my camera back. I was like, oh, you do? Do you though? You've never used it. I used that camera for like 2-3 years. I couldn't even tell you what kind of camera it was. I'd have to go back and ask him. But I remember being 25 and we were eating outside this restaurant in New Brunswick. I think it was New Brunswick or New Jersey or Rutherford, New Jersey. I was living in New Jersey at the time. And I said, where do you want to be in 5 years? And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, in 5 years, I want to be married, pregnant, and living in California. To this day, I literally don't know where that came from. I had never really thought about it before that me asking him that question. I had only been to California one time. It was the first time I got on a plane after graduating high school was California to visit a friend. And I didn't know anything about California. And 5 years later, I was married, pregnant, and living in California. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And it wasn't to him because we broke up that night. Because I said we should break up. But we were such good friends and we lived next door that later he like came over and we watched Seinfeld because we used to watch Seinfeld all the time. And we were in a Jersey Shore house together. So the next weekend we went to the Jersey Shore house and we announced to everybody that we broke up, but we're still best friends. And they were like, okay. And we like hung out all summer. I tried to set him up with some of my friends. I don't even know. It was such a weird, you're 25. You don't even know what you're doing. I don't even know what I was doing at that time. But I had no idea that 5 years later, not only would I be living in California, but I had already become a professional photographer. you know, and I can't even wrap my head around how that happened if I really think about it. So as I'm going to ask you this question, like you could tell me something so far off, like I don't even know what, because it could come true. I don't know. I just like, do you want a family? Do you want to get married? Do you want to own multiple studios? Do you want to go back to Venezuela? Do you want
Guatemala.
5 dogs? Guatemala. Why did I say Venezuela? Why did I say Venezuela? Venezuela, Guatemala. Thank you for correcting me. I don't know why I said Venezuela. That's about typical, though, for something I would say. What is your future?
Well, like you said, you really never know because, like I was telling you, I had to say like everything in Guatemala, and was a decision about a month, and I changed everything. You know, because I had everything that I was supposed to
there
at that time. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because I moved here when I was 27.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a
All new.
completely change, right? Because I have my job, I have my family, my apartment or whatever, my business, and just gone because here no one.
Yeah.
And for me, that was a good thing.
Yeah.
And at the same time, a bad thing because I was really used to be the kind of girl that my dad is gonna figure it out, you know, because I had to grow really fast for things. But at the end, and my dad told me one time, like, the tree is really big, you know, and if you don't go, you're not gonna grow.
I love that.
Like, I already gave you what I think that you needed. It's like a soldier that is going to war, but I can't fight the war for you.
What good advice.
You have to go, and if you need me, well, I'm gonna be here. You know, same thing with my mom. My mom was a little bit
sadder.
Yeah, she didn't really love the idea.
Sure.
Because she was like, "Why? What are you doing?"
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But I don't blame her.
Of course.
You know?
That's all mother's job.
And when I moved and she came and everything, she wasn't happy still. But then she understood, like, well, you need it, you know.
Sure.
So sometimes you have no plans at all, and life goes on. And but something that it's funny for me is when I moved here, I was living with my friend and everything, and I now live in an apartment in Koreatown. So I was living with her, but her family is a big family, and I knew that I can't stay for a long time. I'm so grateful for them. You know, they helped me when I needed. But I was like, maybe me with God and everything. Like, I really want to live here, you know. And one day, one of my other friends called me like, "Well, there's an apartment. It's in a studio apartment. Do you want to take it? Because the building is like, the rent is cheap." They were like, "You have to say it now." And I was like, okay. I just barely start working. So I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to pay the rent and everything. But sure, I take it. And my friend's friend from there, she paid for my deposit and the first rent. And
what a good friend.
Yeah, they did it. So I was like, okay. And I started with just one mattress.
Yeah.
Not mine. They just gave it to me.
They just gave it to you.
And nothing at all. I have photos there. Nothing. So then I was like, okay, we're going to something. And even my car, I just got my car from someone. It was so old. It was a Jeep. And I knew every single time that I'm going to drive it, this thing is not going to work anymore. Like, this thing is not going to work. And I was just like, please just let me get to my job, and then I figure it out. But just let me, don't just break down. And I start telling to my I always say he's my cousin, but he's not my cousin. But he's like it is. And he works at a Lexus and in Nevada. So I told him, and he was like, well, I can ask them if, you can get a car from there and everything. And we were like, whoa, that would be great. And I have no credit.
Of course not.
I was building my credit. So it was impossible to get your first card.
Sure.
So, and I got it. So I was, and the funny thing was, the day that I came back, because I have to drive, from Nevada to here, the day that I came back, my Jeep died. Like, my Jeep died. It was like the movie of Toy Story, like, bye.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That day died.
What an amazing story.
It's done. And from the same building, the same owners, the other friend, the one that called me about it, she was living in the other apartment. So I was like, well, if you move, let me move there, because that has a one room, it's bigger and everything, so I can be. And I was like, well, I really want to move there. And I'm living there now.
Wow.
So I really believe that if you speak, or at least maybe not to a lot of people, because not all the people get happy or sad with you.
Sure.
But at least with yourself, with God, I believe in God. So if you really connect that and you manifest stuff, I think that they happen 100%. Somewhere or other, So everything here, I feel that way too. Yeah. So probably like 5 years, I don't know. I really start thinking like, I really want to get my house. Like I really want to get it. Maybe not 5 years, maybe yes, I don't know. Yeah. About getting married and everything, I'm not really sure about it.
Do you want to get married?
No, I don't know. I don't want to say like no.
Yes.
But I don't want to say yes. I'm kind of like okay the way I am.
Yeah.
And same thing with babies. I love babies. I work with babies.
Sure.
But having my own, maybe.
So and that's such a good answer, because, it's so funny that I think that we go through life like expecting that we should want
and sometimes
certain things.
I understand, because for some of my friends, I know that that's part of their dream. And it's funny because for me, it's been like a maybe always.
Yeah.
It's been like, I'm okay if I have them. I'm okay if I'm not.
Right.
And if I want one and I can't have one, I can adopt one.
Oh my gosh.
It's
100%.
like,
sure.
And I've said that since I'm like probably 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
It's like, not really.
Yeah.
But I'm okay if it happens. If not, I'm happy the way I am. Sure. And I know that a lot of people think that I'm not, but I am.
Yeah.
It really is. And it's probably too, because a lot of my years, I always focus, and a lot of people, not me. So when I moved here was a change of mind, and was like, okay, you have no one to care more than yourself.
Right.
So what are you going to do? So now it's time that you have to learn, that you have to work on yourself, that you have to, a lot,
There's so many lessons in all of that. I don't even know where to begin, from the advice of your father, which is fantastic advice. I love that. I'd be your mother. I'd be crying like, go. I don't want my daughters going anywhere, but I love the advice of your dad, and dads are so great for that. My dad sent me away to boarding school to save me from destructive behavior, because I didn't like school and I was not going down a good path. And so he was like, I remember him sitting me down at 16 going, you're going to this private boarding school in New Jersey. And I was like, why? Why would I do that? Why? I don't understand. The best decision that ever happened. He had to put me in a place that would protect me and foster whatever I needed to become who I became. And that's what I love about having the right role models, whether it's family. And if you don't have a family role model, somebody outside the family, having somebody that is a little wiser and can guide you into your future and to have visions for things like that. That's fascinating to me. I love that you were just in a studio apartment with a mattress.
Yeah.
Because I love that. Because I remember when I left the boarding school, I didn't have anything. I was in a boarding school. So when I graduated high school, I'm done with the boarding school. So I had nothing but my clothes. And I rented a room from a church family that gave me a bed to stay in their home because I had nothing. And it was either go back home with my family or stay in the town that I was going to school. And now I had made friends and, was dating boys and I didn't want to go back home. So, but I didn't have anywhere to live. I didn't have any money. I just graduated high school. I didn't have a car. I didn't really have any credit because I was in a boarding school. So I didn't have anything. And so when I rented the room, I ended up taking, the first job I had. I would ride my bike to it because I did have a bike. I bought a bike. And, I remember when I got my first apartment, it was just a basement apartment. So it was a studio apartment. So just a 1-room basement apartment with a bathroom and the kitchen. If you've ever seen a basement apartment, the kitchen's or a studio apartment, the kitchen's in where you're sleeping. It's your kitchen, living room. It's all the same room, right? And my mom, I was like, Mom, I need a mattress. I think my mom probably bought me a mattress. I'd have to really think about it. I didn't know anything about mattresses. And I think she sent my dad to get me a mattress. And then she ended up sending a bed from my home. She sent a bed from my childhood home and a dresser. And so I had my first studio apartment. I had a bed from my parents and a dresser. And that was it. And so my kitchen was empty. Everything was empty.
Mine was like that.
Yeah, I had nothing. And I can't tell you how many times I ate tuna out of a can, I mean, it's like you just have nothing. And I was by myself in an empty apartment, and it was one of the most amazing times of my life where, like you said, you have nothing but yourself. And I'm super comfortable being alone for that reason. Yeah. And I'm the youngest of 5. And I was never alone my whole life.
Yeah, I always travel alone too. My mom always questioned, like, why? Where are you going by yourself? Because when I was 25 or 26, I just told them, like, well, I got a ticket. I'm going to Spain and a lot of places. Just you? And we're like, yeah. And we're like, you're crazy. But I felt, I always been like this. Yeah. Like I feel something and I go for it. Yeah. And maybe it's not going to be good. Maybe yes.
Yeah. But I think that's why you're going to have a long career in whatever you do and wherever you go. I mean, it's going to be great working with you and watching you grow. But I think it's going to be, I think that the being alone factor, learning how to be alone is very important. Yeah. I think I say all the time how quiet time to me is the best time to get your visions, your ideas, to literally just be in the quiet and see what's coming your way. Because I feel like so many times we're so busy, we're going so fast that we don't take the time to just sit down, hear the quiet of the night, be alone and just hear it.
Enjoy it and be happy with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited for you because I think you have a very, very bright future. I could get emotional just thinking about it. I'm a big believer in God as well. And I think that I love people that are just willing to go out there and take risks, that are willing to go out there and go, I really don't know how I'm going to pay the rent. I really don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm just going to do it because that's how I've lived my life. I don't know how I'm going to do half the things that I do. Yeah. And I feel like people always want explanations. They always want project plans from me. They always want, Anna, give me the project plan. Give me the workflow chart. Give me this. And I'm like, it's right in here. And I worked for a boss that taught me how to do project plans and flow charts. And being the Virgo type person I am, I actually love doing those types of things. But now I just go so fast that I'm like, there's no time for a project plan. There's no time for a workflow chart. You just got to trust the vision and just go and then we'll work it out later. And, there's something to be said for that. There's a lot of people that can't do that.
Yes.
They need it all written down by step.
Or need some kind of security.
Yeah. I need the manual. Like there's sometimes there is no manual.
Mhm.
And hello, with COVID, we had to throw the manual out the window.
Yeah. Life happens sometimes. And
Life happens, and we just
you have
go
to
with
figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. What would be, as we close this webinar and we think about the future and the visions, the things we're doing now and the things that we want to do, what is your biggest advice for someone listening to this? That maybe they're trying to struggle making the right decision. Maybe they're struggling leaving their family. Maybe they're struggling being by themselves. Maybe they're struggling with their career. It's not taking off the way they would want it to, or they're in a place that they're just stuck and things aren't moving forward. What would you say to them?
Well, part of everything is, for me, it's just like believe in God, believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And go for it. Life is it's never going to be the way that you want or you plan stuff. It's always going to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's always going to be something not quite right.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, if you try to just do it, if you go and do it,
Mm-hmm.
so you believe in yourself, you
Mhm.
believe in whatever it, like right now with me, I have no idea what I'm gonna do,
Mm-hmm.
but at the end, it's like I don't feel bad or whatever. It's just believe in yourself
Mm-hmm.
and just try to go for it.
Yeah.
And don't stop working.
Yeah.
And even if you feel like you're not good enough,
Mm-hmm.
you're never gonna be good enough.
Oh,
Never gonna be
Never.
good enough. So just keep doing it. And
Yeah.
even leaving the family is so hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
More like the my type of culture,
Yes.
it's like always a big family.
Mhm.
We're together. Still, I still receive calls of this and that happening. It's not like you're 15 and you're out.
Right.
Like a lot of,
Exactly.
no, my family is not like that. So, but if you don't make a decision, and I told that my mom too, it's like, if I grow, I'm not just forget about you.
Hmm.
No, that's not gonna happen. If I grow, you're gonna grow too.
Yeah.
So it's really like you have to do it,
Mm-hmm.
not just for you, for everything that you really want, and don't get like really stressed about it, because if you overthink stuff,
It's not going to happen.
it's not gonna happen.
Amen to that.
So go for it.
Just go for it.
Fight your own battle.
And just do it. Okay. Well, Gretel, thank you so much.
Thank
Gretel
you.
had no idea that she was
No.
doing a podcast today
And video.
and video. But I knew you were going to look good because we were doing headshots today. You look good every day.
No.
You always look good. So I didn't have any doubt about that. I was like, she always shows up, makeup on point. And so, but I knew you were going to look extra special good. Extra special good. Is that nice language? Don't learn English from me.
I don't.
Extra. My mom is probably dying in her grave. She'd be like, what are you saying, Anna? Some of the things that would come out of my mouth, my mom would just shake her head like that. That is not the English that I taught you. I don't even know what I was going to say. But you looked great. You sounded great. I'm sure that the things that you said today will motivate somebody. If something she did say motivated you, give a shout out to Gretel. I'll be anxious to watch her journey and see where she goes. It's definitely going to be a wild ride with me for sure. And yeah, thanks for listening. We did take a little break from podcasts. My apologies, but I ended up getting laryngitis during the crazy holiday tree farm days, my amazing clients, and my voice just vanished for weeks. Longest period I've ever had of literally not having a voice. Even now I have water on the table because if I talk too long, I start coughing. So we had to take a break from, I do a lot of coaching online and mentoring, and I'm always talking, and I had to take a break. So we're back with our podcasts. Hopefully we can get some more regular episodes out and continue our motivation and marketing. And, I just think at the end of the day, we're all on a journey, and we just have to do the best that we can, right?
Yeah.
Right. I'm Anna Brandt. Thanks for listening.
Did you like this podcast? We would love it if you gave my mom a kind review and reach out to her. To learn more about Anna, visit annabrandt.com. You can find out about her education opportunities at annabranteducation.com.